No?
Welcome.
Hello.
This is an intimate meeting.
I'll borrow this one just to do your intro.
Thank you.
This is going to be, this is so right up your alley. Ageless Love, the sexy science of falling in love forever.
Wow.
And the marriage map.
Could Joseph come?
Absolutely. May her partner come?
Yeah, sure.
I was about to say absolutely. So text him
Wonderful.
and let him know to say at the gate that he's a guest of Matthew James Bailey and Barbara Hepburn.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were in the talent show, she and her partner, and they sang in the lobby. They were
Oh, how sweet.
for the opening and the closing.
So self-expression is not an issue, right? Right.
So I have been divorced since 2010.
We're ready to roll?
We'll talk a little bit.
Okay, let's get the microphone.
You might move back. Where would you like her to sit? Back a little bit?
Okay, yeah.
Where would you like her to
Her and her partner can sit in here, and then where would?
All this section right
Oh, well, if you would sit on the other side, that would be better. So then you could,
I know these will
yeah. So you sit on that side would be better.
Come here, baby. Over here.
Yeah.
But just let them know it's on tape and do you feel comfortable?
I think she's going to announce it. You can give it to her.
Yeah,
Hand it her.
your back will be, and just get their approval. I know that's still safe.
Got it. Got it.
So do I have a microphone also?
I'm going to hand it to you.
So this. And so if my wife is talking, I should let her have the recording. And so she doesn't need to have this. Now, are you able
You're going
to?
to talk in this, and then when she talks, she'll take this, so you guys share.
Okay. Are you able to hear the audience when they're talking?
You're going to have to give them the mic.
Okay, got it. Okay, good.
Question before you start. There might be, our conversation might go into personal places.
That's fine.
You're okay? Your backs will be to the camera, and you have to think ahead about what you feel comfortable saying. But we're
It's
here
a
to
tight
support
shot, we
you.
don't even see them.
This is a very, very personalized setting, so.
And he
we can
says
go-
they won't see you. They might just
So
hear
we
your
can go
voice.
anywhere in this situation.
Oh, I'm happy to go anywhere.
Okay.
And someone is going to come in. Here we go. You all ready?
I am almost ready. Now I'm ready.
We are at the Conscious Life Expo 2024 post-conference, and it's such an honor and joy to be here for these incredible intensives. And we still got people coming in. Come on in and join us. And for everyone watching the DVD, share these forward, because this is about to be an incredible journey
That's it.
and a magical experience into love, into connection. We are here with Matthew James Bailey and Barbara Hepburn, and we're going to be diving into the new human potential.
Got to start over.
Why?
That's not me.
Say Hepburn and
It's not
Bailey.
you.
Green Nature's Love.
That is.
Dr. Michael and Barbara Grossman.
Bailey.
Okay, hold on a second. I'll introduce you guys anyway.
Oh my
Why
God.
do you want us to do that?
Fantastic. Remember in the elevator area, I was like, hey, Barb. That's what I was talking about.
So 11 years, been divorced. That's quite a process. And so now you'd like to get back in a romantic partnership that is,
That leads to marriage.
And you
Yeah.
might want to, our conversation will probably help you reflect on what happened before, so you kind of have a new reflection on what happened, so you correct.
Yes.
yeah,
Oh, I love that. I really would appreciate that. Thank you.
excellent, excellent.
I'm very open.
So this young lady, what is your experience with romantic partnerships?
Oh, boy. How long do we have?
Are you in one now?
No, I'm not.
And the last time
My
you were?
romantic partnership is with my puppy and my...
And the last time you were in a romantic partnership?
Actually, this week it'll be 3 years.
3 years. All right, good.
Mine was like almost 2 years ago, my last romantic.
The last romantic relationship. How about you? Are you in a partnership
Yeah,
now?
I'm in a wonderful relationship with a wonderful person, and we've been together since 2018.
2018,
And
so that's like 5
we've been
years.
friends since 2016, and we make music together, and we
Oh, good.
live together, and we're domestic partners, and he's the best thing in the
Very nice.
There's
Very nice.
world. Living happily ever after.
I am so sorry. They gave me this time and sheet and told me that it was
This
another
is-
couple.
We're in C, so
Yeah, Dr. Michael. So, since we're going to start over, what may I say about you two?
I should give you something that you could look at. Well, actually, for us two,
Because someone else was supposed to be introducing you.
yeah.
So Michael's a longevity doctor.
You know what? I'm going to just say a warm, loving welcome, and you two can introduce each other.
Yeah, that's fine. That's
That
probably
way it'll be
best.
natural.
That's the best. Dr. Michael and Dr. Barbara Grossman.
All right.
Yeah,
Should I mention my theological background?
sure.
Okay.
Welcome to the 2024 Conscious Life Expo post-conference. And we are here for a really, really beautiful workshop. And this is going to be an intensive into anti-aging, into love, and into growing in a whole new way. And it's truly my honor to not only tell you about the books of Barbara and Michael Grossman, and that's Dr. Barbara Grossman and Dr. Michael Grossman. They have one book, Ageless Love, The Sexy Science of Falling in Love Forever, and another book, The Marriage Map. And they'll be telling you more later about their other books, The Road to Transforming Your Marriage from Ordeal to Adventure. And I would love you two lovebirds to share and talk about each other. Let's give a warm, loving welcome. Thank you for being here and sharing your light.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. It is indeed a pleasure. We love talking about creating ageless love. So my specialty is longevity medicine. I keep people feeling youthful, energetic throughout your whole lifetime. And it's so much fun doing that. People love it. I love it. I have a lot of fun doing this. And my lovely wife is an expert in relationships. So her specialty she'll tell you about. And we love working together, running classes together, courses together, speaking and sharing together. So we're going to have a lot of fun, and we're going to show you a big vision for life and relationship and keep you young and vibrant while we do it. So Dr. Barbara here.
Yes. So I'd like to say, don't let our degrees fool you. We're like everybody else. We've been married a long time. We married in, when did we marry? 1970, what?
70.
1970. And we fell in love like everyone falls in love, and with all the kind of hope and aspiration. And within 10 years, we were at odds with each other, because that's how a relationship works. It works that way because we develop, we don't stay the same. What brings us together eventually becomes, as we come together in our affinities, and then eventually we have to express our differences. And that's a surprise. And not only that, but we grow. As women grow especially, we get more connected to what they really want. It puts pressure on men. It's not nice of us, but it's the way life is. And so we want our men to understand us. We want more attention from them. We want them to share feelings. That's another language for them. And men want more from us too. While we women are all becoming successful and independent, we forget to respect our men. And so we're on a collision course. And it's inevitable. It's not personal. So if you've had disappointment in love, you're in the same boat as everybody else. And the challenge is, do you want to, and are you willing to learn how to work through it? Because it will happen. It's just how it is. And it doesn't mean that your partner is not a good person. It doesn't mean you're not a good person. It just means that, this is a time to be, to focus on growing. My background is not only in psychology, it's also theology. So I come from a spiritual place. I think that relationships are an opportunity to heal your past and create a new future. I think it's an opportunity to heal the culture so that we stay together and raise our children together. It's so key for children. I don't know if you are aware of what's going on in our culture right now, but it's not good for kids. I also believe in, not only do I believe healing is possible and likely if you pursue it, but I believe in wisdom. And you can learn from each other so much. And you can grow deep. It's sad to see how couples get into what they get into and they don't see a way out. They feel trapped. And so we have exercises, we have skills to help you move through it. And that's part of what we'll be doing today.
We have lots planned. And so just to touch on what I do as an anti-aging doctor, a longevity medicine doctor, there are so many things you can do now to be youthful that you couldn't really do 20 years ago. And foundational is to maintain healthy hormones for men and women. Once you turn 50-ish, women go into menopause, men gradually go into andropause, but you lose the youthful hormones that you had when you were 20 and 30. And that causes your brain to stop working. You don't feel youthful in your brain. You feel foggy. You lose your enthusiasm. You lose your muscle stamina, your endurance. You lose your libido. And you just feel old. And that's foundational to take bioidentical, natural hormones. And I do a lot of that. And that restores youthfulness to your own physiology. Otherwise, you may feel like you want to be in love, but the body doesn't cooperate. So that's something that we can do now. And I do a lot of that. And I love doing that, and it really changes people's lives. However, and even though there's many other things to do to be youthful, we have growth hormone releasing factors, very helpful. We have all kinds of nutritional things we do. I repair body parts for injuries, stem cells, exosomes, all kinds of things. And these are dramatic to make you more youthful. But when we look at our slides here, the most important factor in longevity after the age of 50 is what? Happiness? It's related to happiness, but it's not, quote, happiness. Say again? Food.
Exercise.
Food, exercise. These are very important things, but not the most important factor. And what would you say?
Intention.
Intention. These are all important factors. The studies show clearly, surprising and shocking to the medical researchers, is that the most important factor is the quality of your personal relationships. Huh? You want to say more, Barb? Yes, go ahead. Talk about tell them about the study, the Harvard study.
So this is based on a Harvard study that lasted 80 years. It started with John F. Kennedy's generation of Harvard students. Then it got extended to the Boston community, so it became it wasn't just rich brats in Harvard, it was also regular people in Boston. So it was multicultural, multiracial, and then eventually they added spouses, women, because women eventually came to Harvard and Barnard. And they studied, they had very comprehensive interviews yearly. They had medical evaluations, and they studied both the quality of the conversations about their personal reflections about their life, and they compared it with the medical data that they collected. And at the end of 80 years, they found that the people who grew in their relationships, became more developed and intimate in their relationships, that was the single factor that elevated the people who lived the longest and had the highest quality of life. And so this is not small change that we're talking about relationships. It's a key to having a sweet life and a healthy life and a long life.
So that's a little shocking to the scientific world. People are so into all kinds of other things to be healthy, and I love that. I describe that longevity is actually like a chain link. And when one link breaks, then you're dead. Your life in the physical body is over. So you've got to eat good, you've got to exercise, you've got to do all kinds of things so important. But the quality of your personal relationship is the most important factor after the age of 50 in how long you will live. So you don't want to ignore that. Okay? So all those who are listening, just be aware that this is not a feel-good option. It may feel good, it may make you happy, but maybe it won't make you happy. So let's look at, you still live longer if you have good quality relationships, but happiness is a little different. You know, we can say certain things about happiness. We can talk about happiness for a moment, because you mentioned happiness. What's the relationship between being wealthy and being happy?
Depends how you got the wealth, I would say. It's something that you're driven to do, and you build this amazingness because you're so driven.
So he says it depends upon who's being wealthy and how you feel about it and so on.
One doesn't equal the other.
The research on happiness and being wealthy shows that once you have enough food to eat and a place to live in, you know, a house to rent, an apartment, there's no relationship. When I was traveling in 1986, I went to Nepal. Everybody was so poor, unbelievably poor. We went to Mount Everest and walked around Nepal. Poorest people I've ever met. I came from New York. I never saw this kind of poor people. In New York, the poor people were wealthy compared to the people in there. They didn't have socks. Their clothes were awful, and they all had infection and coughing, and all they had no money. They can barely have enough food to eat. They were happy.
Yeah.
How can they be so happy? The answer is the quality of their personal relationships was extraordinarily positive, and they were happy.
They're family people.
Family people, happy. Money has no relationship to happiness, zero. It's peculiar. Now, you may be happy with a lot of money, but not because you have a lot of money. And when you have a lot of money, it can really aggravate you because you got to take care of it and make sure no one's stealing it, and you got to invest it and all that. So money and happiness, it's just no relationship, in case you're wondering. So we have to look at romance. So the quality of your personal relationships as you get older, the intense romantic partnership is the most important relationship that you'll have. You can have a relationship with children, with parents, with friends that are lovely and very important, very important.
And siblings.
The whole community, say, come.
And siblings.
Siblings, yes. All very important. And those kind of relationships are different than romantic partnership. So if you're interested in a romantic partnership, which I encourage you to be interested in, you have to understand this. Friendships, all the other friendships besides romantic, all the other family relationships besides romantic partnership are like water, the deep water of the ocean. It's so deep and peaceful. When it works well, you just feel connected. If you don't see your parent or your child or your brother or sister or somebody for 6 months or a year, once you see them again, wow, you're right back there. Oh, how are things doing and what happened here? And you just love seeing them again. And you're connected. Deep water, ocean, connection. Don't try that with a romantic partnership. 6 months, a year, when you come back together, the fire is out. You've got to reconnect it. Romance is like a fire that you have to constantly put wood in there to get that energy there, and you've got to have air to moving through it so that the fire is going on, and you have to keep on nourishing it with that wood and the air, and that's what you do in romantic partnership. It's very, very different. And it's not designed to be easy. Is it designed to make you happy? Well, is designed to make you grow and develop, and ultimately, it's much more than happiness. It's like finding God in and through your partner. And what does it mean to find God? It's very hard to describe. But happiness is too minute an experience to really go through what you're dealing with here. It just opens you to this bigger range of feelings that are so far beyond happiness. If you have a godly experience, we're here at the Conscious Life Expo, there's a lot of that spiritual stuff going on. It's so far beyond happiness. It's like ecstasy. It's like different level of profundity, of blissfulness. Happy is not enough. And it's not a smooth ride. So the peculiar thing about romance is that you have to create a balance between stability and mystery. How do you do that? You have to create a balance between security and adventure. How do you do that? We're going to go into that and talk about that some, but we can talk about ballroom dancing for a minute, my dear. So we're going to show you just a moment about ballroom dancing. So my wife and I are competitive ballroom dancers. We dance foxtrot, tango, quick step, and waltz. And what we do is that when we dance, it's a metaphor for romantic partnership. So here we go. So watch what we do.
I'm not wearing a ballroom gown, obviously.
So hold my hand. So here we're dancing. So notice our right sides are attached and our left side is free for movement and self-expression. And we're attached in 5 places, firmly attached. Our boundaries are very firm. So we have this peculiar balance between boundaries, and what's the other word? And boundaries and intimacy. So here we are intimately connected in our chest and arms and body, and we're also having boundaries. Nobody else can come in. We're locked in. Nobody else can come in. And when we move, we have certain kind of movements, and we have to have freedom to move one side and connection with the other side. And when you watch us dancing across the ballroom floor, we look like it's effortless. Oh, it's so wonderful how effortless. It's not effortless. If you watch Dancing with the Stars, it looks just floaty. Oh my goodness, look how it is. Boy, they sweat. It's real intense. It's not effortless. That's romantic partnership. It's not effortless. Once you do it a lot, it becomes more automatic, but it's not effortless. You have to keep doing it. I need to know from my wife how great I am every day, many times. And when she does that, I'm good. I feel happy. But that's the fire. That's the getting the air moving through. We have to do that. We're going to give you some of those skills, and you're going to learn those things. Okay, let's do the next one here. All right. So let's look at what happens over a lifetime. So Dr. Barber did her PhD on this whole area of personal growth, psycho-spiritual stages of growth. So we start out as a 2-year-old right in the middle at the bottom, and we can actually start from being a little baby sucking on mother's breast. There's no separation between you and mother. You cry, the breast comes, and it's a good thing. You like it. But then you get to be 2, and then what happens when you're 2, you begin to move over towards this side of feeling more distant from the things you love. So you started out in the middle, then you're going to go to this side here. And what happens when you're 2? 2, you go into the terrible 2s. You say no. You say, what do you mean? No, I want it my way. I want the candy now. I don't want to wait. So that's a normal thing. And then after the terrible twos, you move into when you're 4 years old, you become happy to be part of the family. Brothers, sisters, other part of the family. You love being part of the family. And you move to this other side of feeling close, on the right side of the screen. Then what happens when you become a teenager? We call it the orphan stage 2. When you're a teenager, you want your own space again. Different than a 2-year-old, but you're separate. And you want to do your own thing. You want to have it your way. You don't want to listen to your parents. You know what you should be doing and where you need to go, and you want to go to this party, and you don't care if there's drugs there or not, but your mother says no. Well, you have a big argument about it because you want to do it. That's what happens when you're feeling more distant to those you love. And that's automatic, just happens to people. It's not like occasionally happens. This is what happens. Then what happens, you get to be 20 or more years old and you move into the caretaking phase. You then fall in love with somebody. Maybe you get married. Maybe you have children. And then you're part of this family. You love being part of the family. And that'll last for some years and you love it. And you work hard and you give yourself over to it and it lasts for a while. And then what happens? Then you move from the caretaking stage 3, move to the warrior stage 4. You're feeling more distant again. What happens there? You begin having a career. You begin wanting to have things your way. You've had enough of the family and the kids. You want a little space of your own. And then you want to have your own self-expression. You still love them, but you want a little bit more space. And that happens, and it's a big problem for divorce at this age. So you might be 35, you might be 40, you might be a little older, but somewhere in there is the big danger of divorce. So, should we tell them about us yet, or wait?
You could, but let's get back to the wise elder stage.
All right. So eventually, if things work out in your life, you move from stage 4 to the wise elder phase.
Can I add a few notes?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So what's pretty common is that women stay caretakers longer than men because they're mommies, and so it's very common for the male partner to. Is it all right if I stay with gender traditional things like this? The male partner becomes a warrior before the woman because she's home taking care of domestic things. So that's one possible scenario. And so the warrior's in a different stage. He's thinking about goals. He wants to make a lot of money. He wants to make a name for himself. He's strategic. He's thinking and working. He's in his head, not in his heart. The woman is a caretaker. She's home. She's with the children. She might be working part-time, but she's in her heart. And so it's predictable and it's not personal that the man is not connecting with his lady. The lady feels neglected and hurt, and I can't tell you how many divorces happen over that. And it's normal. There's nothing wrong. Nothing's wrong with anybody. They just don't know how to connect the dots and reconnect together. Because ultimately, a woman needs to learn how to share her feelings and not dramatize them. And when you hold on to it for so long, you get to be drama queens. And a man needs to learn how to share his heart. Those are all skills that don't come, with our packaging when we get born. We have to learn them. And so it's a dilemma. It's a dilemma for our culture. And it's not that easy when both partners are working, because then they're both in their heads. They're both strategic. They both have goals. There's no space for emotions. And so, and then here's what's also wild. There is, if you don't do any kind of self-development, research says that by the time you get to your 50s, that's when you start to learn that's when you really accomplish, if you're into it, emotional self-regulation. And so,
If you're still alive.
if you're still up, right? If you're not depressed and discouraged. And it takes a long time to learn how to manage your feelings and share yourself appropriately. And so we look to teach people how to share so that you are communicating how you feel and what you want in a respectful way. And partners can hear that from each other. But it doesn't come with our programming. We have to learn it. And so these are all inevitable conflicts that come out of, life in our society, and people get confused about it, and they give up, and they don't know that there's a way to learn and repair the injuries that have happened, and the injuries are inevitable. I think you want to talk about that.
Yes. Let's see what we have next. So, as Dr. Barber mentioned, men and women are different. I could get in trouble for saying that in certain situations, but the facts are that the brain is divided in two in all animals, and it's peculiar how every animal, whether you're a worm, whether you're a butterfly, whether you're a mouse, or whether you're a human being, the brain is divided into two. One side of the brain, the right side of the brain, is the side of the brain that sees the big picture. The right side of the brain controls the left hand, and you see the big picture. So the right side of the brain is the artistic side, the musical side. And in all animals and humans, that's the way it is. And the left side of the brain is the analytical side. The left side of the brain looks at little pieces of everything and analyzes the pieces. And men and women have a different way of using the brain. Men have very little connection between the right and left sides of the brain. So they get stuck in one side or the other. Most men, not all, but most men are stuck in that analytical side. And when they have a feeling, they were like me. A feeling? What? Let me see what my feeling is. Oh, okay, yeah, I guess I'm feeling this way. And then, oh, you want to talk about it? Well, let me go back on the other side. Wait a minute, I need more time. Okay, now I can talk about it. Men have to go in their cave to talk about their feelings because the feelings don't pop up right away. Women can go back and forth really fast, and they talk about all their stuff and their brain stuff right away. They're able to share their feelings. And when the guy doesn't want to share his feelings, well, she's upset. What? Why can't you talk about it now? You want me to wait and talk about it later? That they want to talk about it now. That's a mechanical thing. That's not a. It's not it's not a psychological thing. It's physiological. Now you can train people to use both sides of the brain. So it took me a long time. I would go to Dr. Barber's counseling classes that she took. They let me into a few of them. So I would sit in there, and I was so good when you had a partner and you had to share and to analyze what they were thinking. I was good at that. As a medical doctor, that's what I do, analyze and think. Great. But then you had to say, and you're feeling some kind of a feeling. Well, what was the feeling? I had no idea. How would I know what the feeling was? I don't know. And I was terrible. I had to have a piece of paper and go through and ask them, are you feeling this or that? What? It took a long time for me to be in touch with my feelings. Oh, that was like a huge experience. And I love meditating, and we'll talk about meditation later on. I love meditating, and meditation is wonderful for spiritual development and can be very helpful for a relationship, but it doesn't teach you to get in touch with your feelings. It can open your heart to some extent, but can you talk about it? You might be able to hug occasionally, but talking about it is a little different because you got to go back and forth in your brain. It's a funny thing. You interrupt anytime. So
I know where to pick it up.
Yeah.
So the dynamics of a man and a woman together, because our development isn't in the same pattern, we inevitably come into friction with each other. What the female wants, or what one partner wants, does not match what the other partner wants. You're laughing back there. And
You're making friction.
nice. And so we believe that relationship is the best opportunity to grow yourself, to develop yourself, integrate your personality. And what also goes on in relationship is that what attracts you to each other has to do with your affinities, your common interests. Maybe there's a physical attraction, and that gets you together. But eventually what you find is that you come into crosshairs with each other, because there are differences. There's no avoiding it. And to deal with the differences means integrating your personality, really taking stock and understanding yourself, being able to express who you are and what you want. It's enormous, it's fuel for development. And we want that for couples. We need a mature society, and we need mature relationships. And if you want to personalize this and tell our story, that's fine.
Oh, yeah? So, let me see what we have for our next idea. So, in relationship, the inevitability in a romantic partnership is that it will bring up your past traumas. Inevitable. Not so much with non-romantic partnerships. Sometimes it brings it up. But with romantic partnership, it will bring it up. So the reason why I'm in love with Barbara when we met at 20 years old or so on is that she had this softness about her. Oh, I love that. That was lovely. My mother didn't have that. My mother was tough, real tough. But she had softness about her. So that's what attracted me to her. So what's inevitable going to happen?
It's like the same thing that attracts you, repels you.
Yeah, she is, as she grows up and develops, and then that softness is still there, but now she has her own perspective. We talked about that spiral where you move from being close to things you love to having more space. You need more space. Then you turned on me. How dare you do that? You were this soft love. We had 10 years of marriage, 20 to 30, where whatever I wanted was the way it was. That was great. I love that marriage. And then she turned on me. She goes back to psychology school and graduates and learns how to think for herself. And then it becomes a big mess. Oh my God. We had a tough time. No, she had a tough time too because it was difficult. And we went through lots of counseling, which didn't help very much. And we had many mentors, which did help a lot. So counseling doesn't often work for marriages unless you have a good counselor who knows how to counsel two people. So when you come to see Dr. Barbara for counseling, she's so good. I don't know if she'll say this, but she's so good with people because she never takes sides. I went to a counselor with my daughter, and the counselor took sides, took my daughter's side. I'd say, what? What kind of counseling is that? How do you counsel two people and take the side of one person? You got to listen. Each person has their own story to tell. And whenever you're upset, you're never upset for the reason you think. What does that mean? That means past traumas that get stuck in your physiology and your psychology will rise up, and then you're upset. But when Barbara's not nice to me, meaning she doesn't follow whatever I say whenever I say it, she has her own opinions. That's my interpretation of not being nice, right? Then I go into my 6-year-old story. So what's my 6-year-old story? My 6-year-old story is that my mother would not love me in the way I wanted to be loved, right? So she wanted the house to be neat when she came home in the family store in the evening, and she's tired and she came home. She wants the 3 boys, I'm the middle one, to be really good and clean up the house and make sure she doesn't have to come home and clean the house. Okay, I'm what, 6 or 8 years old? I tried so hard to clean the house. I did everything. I thought I did a perfect job. And I drank some water from the sink, and I put the glass back in the sink, and then I drank some more water, and I put it back, just the glass in the sink. No one told me ever. I didn't know you're supposed to turn it upside down in the strainer thing, you know. I didn't know that. I was only 6 or 8. Anyway, I was trying. She came home and yelled at me for an hour about how ungrateful I was. And I was like hurt. I was like, oh my gosh. Want to say something, my dear?
So, Michael's telling you his personal story. You might be able to generalize it, but he's sensitive to criticism. And yes, I was young and not so developed, and so I was accommodating. A lot of women are accommodating when they're young. And then, you're laughing.
Until they're not.
Until they're not, yes. And so, yes, eventually I, I accomplished enough of my goals that I felt more confident, and I started to have my own point of view. And it was rough for Michael because the way he was, directing his time and his energies, didn't fit my pictures. And so we had a bunch of very tough years. And this is before we sought help and support. But so Michael's sensitive about criticism, and because I was unexpressed for so many years, and I think I'm speaking for women generally, because I was so unexpressed for so many years, by the time I woke up to what I felt and what I wanted, I was a raving, mean lady. I was, actually, I would say other words, but we're being taped. I was just mean. And it was painful for Michael. It was painful for me because I wasn't being heard, because you don't get heard when you sound like that. And so we were just hurting each other. So the more I complained, the more Michael distanced himself, and that's not an uncommon story. There's other variations of the story, but this is how it's set up for us. And we were very fortunate to have people in our lives who kind of stepped forward to help us. And gradually we learned how to behave, how to express our feelings, how to talk about what we want. And part of that had to do with digging into what's underneath all of that pain. So Michael, he refers to his mom. His mom loves Michael totally. You have to know that, right? She's a tough girl, for sure. And she wasn't a lovey, soft person. And she was really proud of him. But that's not possibly what he really needed. The thing about relationships is a lot of how we were treated as children has to do with our parents' story, and a lot of another aspect of how we're treated with our parents has to do with their temperament and our temperament, and whether there's affinity or not. And so we often as children don't get what we need because of our temperaments don't match up. And sometimes we don't get what we need because our parents have their own problems, and they're busy and distracted and trying to survive. And so there's all kinds of reasons that really have nothing to do with blame, but that hurt us. And so when we find ourselves in a relationship eventually, those hurts come to the surface. They become more pronounced because our partners are agitating them. And so then our relationship goes live time, and it accelerates into a real negative dynamic. And so we'd like to address that so that you avoid that.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to start with our first exercise, which is going to be this parenting exercise. Why don't you pass that out? So we're going to have each of you write a letter. Well, not actually write a letter.
This is a dialogue.
Yeah, there's a dialogue. We're going to have each of you talk to each other and
And you want them to switch.
No, this is good. So each of you are going to pretend to be whoever the other one asks you to be. So Barbara and I will model it for you so you'll know how it works. So I'm going to ask Barbara.
You want to sit down so we'll show them how it looks?
We can stand up and do it. I think we should just stand up and do it. So I'm going to ask Barbara,
Which parent do you
which of your parents or your parent-like figures who you had the most trouble with, the most difficulties with, who would you like for me to be?
Yeah. My mom, I guess. My mom.
Okay, so I will be your mom. And so I'm going to read the paper. One sheet, please. Give me one sheet. Okay. So each of you have a copy of this paper. And I'm going to be the listener, and I'm going to ask Barbara, imagine I'm your mother. What was it like living with me when you were a child? And then Barbara will then answer the question. Go ahead.
So do you mind if I do it like a real exercise?
Please.
Okay. So Mom, first of all, you should know my mom has passed away, so I have a whole different integration of my story. But so Mom, first of all, you were beautiful. You were pimpy. You were born within 5 days of Queen Elizabeth, and you had that same cheekbones thing that she has, and you were elegant like Jackie Kennedy. But you left my biological father when I was 2 months old, and we came to live with my grandma, and you had to work, and then you were dating, and in one way I was close to you because we shared a bedroom, and another way you were busy. I always admired you, but I was, in many ways in those years, Grandma was more my mom.
So now I'm going to wait for a little phrase, a little paragraph to be finished, and then I'm going to feed back to her what she said, and she's going to then tell me that's right, and then tell me more, or said, no, that's not exactly right, and she'll kind of, give me some feedback. So what you said so far is that living with me, your mom, you liked how I looked so regal, and you liked how I was really, a good mom. But your grandmom, my mom, was really much closer to you when you were little than I was. You felt a little bit separated from me.
Yes, and though I experienced a lot of love from my grandma, and I noticed how I relate to my grandma. When she was dying, I was willing to get into bed with her when, like the day before she died. I had no limitations for how much I loved her. I was much more careful with my mom. I was more distant because she was distant, and I know it was because of necessity. She had to work. Mm-hmm. She had to do a lot of things for herself.
So, if I'm understanding you, you felt super close to my mom, your grandmom, and for me, you felt a little more distant, but you understand that it was because I was working and I couldn't actually be that close as your grandma.
And then I saw you date. I learned a lot from you watching you date. There was always a new guy coming on, and she'd always have me there and grandma there, so that it was clear that my mom was a mother and not, some, frivolous girl. And so I learned a lot from you. But here's what's problematic. When you remarried, and you remarried a wonderful man, then you got sick for 8 years with kidney stones, and you were lying on the sofa really weak and sick, and so again, you were missing.
So, just to speed things up, I'm interrupting her a little bit, but if I get it right, then I was sick for 8 years on the sofa with kidney stones, and that was difficult for you. So I can ask you, is there more, right? I could say, is there more to say about that? But let's assume she's finished, so that you all have a chance to do some of this.
Can I add, just because I feel bad about what I'm saying? On the other hand, I admire her so much. And the other dynamic was that now she was married, and my dad would kind of protect my mom from me because he needed, a little bit of attention and energy from her, what little she had. And so that was the reality of my life then.
Okay, so you had a lot of respect for me, and I appreciate that. Thank you. So now, what do you need from me as your parent? Well, what was the most difficult part about living with me when you were a child? What is the biggest hurt that you have from living with me as a child?
So I believe my experience was I felt lonely. And I made good out of it. I became very independent. I did a lot of great things for myself. There is an upside to this. I became a really good student. I ran for school office. I created my own life because my parents didn't need me. I decided I could figure out a life by myself. So there's positives.
So if I'm understanding you, your biggest hurt was loneliness, but you're not blaming your parents, not blaming me. You know that I was sick and that I'm working and so forth, but loneliness is your biggest hurt.
Yes.
Is there more?
Well, I think. Well, there's feelings related to loneliness that are tough for me. That that was what my life was then. Even though I learned a lot from being independent, I found my own way, and I appreciate that.
Okay. So again, I can keep asking, is there more, and so forth. But now to go on so that you see how to do this dialogue with your parent. As your mom, what do you need from me as your parent to heal all those hurts?
So I wish she was here and I could talk to her like that. Well, I love your. Well, eventually in my adult life, you were very proud of me. And I had that attention, and you probably would have wanted more of my time. I know you wanted more of my time and attention in your final years when you came to California from New York. And I probably wasn't generous with you with my time, which is sad, actually tragic. But I would have liked more of your attention when I was young.
So from understanding, you would like to have had more of my attention when you were younger. And what do you need from me as your parent to heal all those hurts? If I was here now, what would you need from me? Or what would you need when you were younger? What would you have wanted from me?
I have forgiven my parents. I totally get it.
What would you have wanted from me if you could get it when you were younger?
I would have liked their interest in my interests, even though that would have been, pretty, that would be a miracle because they're so different from me. But I would have liked, more of your attention. On the other hand, if I had more of their attention, my mother's attention, she would have gotten into my business more, and I would have had problems. So
Well, are you okay?
yeah, I'm just. It's I can't even say. I would have liked you to be more, spent more personal time with me.
Okay. All right. So from understanding, you would like to have had more of my personal time. Okay. So now I'm switching. Now as your partner, romantic partner, which some of you may be romantic partners, some of you are just doing this together, but you can pretend to be their partner because we want the person who's speaking to know what to ask their partner now or in the future. What behaviors will make you feel healed of these hurts? Because we want you to understand that every time you get upset and hurt and sad,
It's connected.
it's the past. It's not the present that's making you hurt. So what you need to do is to understand where the old hurts came from so that your partner understands that, the reason why Barbara wants me to call her whenever I'm going to be 5 minutes late is she's afraid of being ignored, she's afraid of being alone, she's afraid of being abandoned by her parents. And it has nothing to do with me. So rather than for me to think, you're just being obnoxious, asking me to call you when 5 minutes late, you're worried about I'm going to crash or die. But now you're saying, it would make me so happy because it would help to heal me of this past stuff if you could do this and this. So you're asking for a behavior. You're not complaining that I don't care about you. It's a totally different experience. All right, so as your partner, I want you to receive all that you need to feel loved. What can I do to give you what you need?
this is a real exercise. I would correct some of what you just said.
Okay?
So I don't know that I mind if you're late. I mind when you're very late, or I mind, it used to be when you used to travel on airplanes, I used to fear that you would die because my biological father just went out of existence. And so I'd ask you to find a phone and call me. That's when the days where there was no high-tech phones. But what do I need from you? I need from you to balance your life so that you don't have 27 projects going on at the same time, and you have time for me.
Excellent. So what you need from me is you need more of my personal time so you can feel intimately connected to me.
Yes.
And it has all to do with your past. It has nothing to do with me in the present. Okay, there you go. So now I can hear her instead of reacting and getting the big argument. How dare you ask me? I'm doing everything for you and you want more. That's unreasonable. Who do you think you are? No, but instead of getting into that. So this is what we want you to do. So you all have these dialogues. So spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes. So one of you pretend to be the other one's
So you're pretending,
upset,
you're pretending to be your mother and father. So you
mother or
have-
father or parental figure,
So we're doing one side right now, or we're going back and forth?
going back and forth.
So you do one person at once, and then when you finish, you switch.
Okay. Are you setting up a timer so we know when?
Oh, I'll let you know when it's getting
If
close.
you want to make more space between the two of you, but you should be facing each other. And you tell us when you change.
Yeah, more or less. Well, I'll see how you're progressing. I'll ask you where you're at. So,
Is everything okay? Yeah. Am I bothering you?
that's fine. I'm going to go to the bathroom, Mom.
I don't have a, what time did they stop? Do I stop?
They started about 6:10, and so we'll give them like 10 minutes for each one.
Okay. I'll use my phone.
Besides you can hold the door. That's great. Is
I'm doing a process. You don't have to leave it on during the process.
We wouldn't turn it off.
Leave it on. Okay.
It's better than turning it off. Thank you for that.
That's okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Don't hesitate to ask if you have any questions.
We went through all the steps.
Okay, so you did one.
We did one.
So now you can switch.
Thank you.
And how are you doing here?
We just finished.
You just finished it. Any questions? No. Okay, so then you can make, who was the one who was speaking about their past? So you can make a request coming out of it, and so you want to make it specific. So let me make sure people know that. So just one thought here. When you make your request coming out of the sharing process, the person who's listening should be asked to do a specific request. So when Barbara says, I would like more attention, the best thing is to be very specific about it. Like if you're a TV camera, you can watch and say, oh, it's happening. You're doing it. So rather than to say, oh, I want more of your attention, you want to say, I'd like for you to give me a kiss every night when you come home. I want a hug every morning before you leave, right? So that's real specific. Same thing, attention, but specific. So the more you can make specific requests out of it, the better. Okay? So you can tweak it if you want. Okay.
I have another pen. I have one more pen. Thank you.
I can make a really good thriller movie. Okay, imagine.
Hey, Deb, Joel, so, I know, you know, we need to get, tell me what that's like for you, okay? Oh, it's fun, right?
I love everything you taught me, all the mechanics, and how to do
I can do that for you. How about I do it for you?
Don't. No.
So you're telling me you like all the good stuff that I shared?
Sure, where? Don't do it in the camera.
Julie, did you spell What do you right now? Okay, so maybe we'll see what happened now. That's what it was like to be with these people.
going to listen in for a minute.
And guide you or communicate with anyone about these dynamics.
So you're telling me that you watched me throw stuff, and that upset you and your sisters, and you didn't like that.
Like this dynamic going on around you.
Correct.
Is there anything else that you want to tell me about that?
Well, I've moved past it, and I'm looking forward to you healing every day, and I see your improvements since we were younger, and you're a much better
I
man
was
than,
totally disconnected from
than when I first met you, coming out of the womb. And I'm appreciative of all your strides, you know, even though other people may think they're small. I see small strides as big strides, especially from you. So that's what I gotta say about that.
So you noticed a difference,
Yes.
and you appreciate that.
Yeah. Every day.
Is there anything I could do to make it up to you, or anything I could do to help things?
Well, so you want to read that next thing, yeah. Yeah, right. What can I do to help to heal those wounds and those hurts?
Anything I could do to help to heal those?
Well, the wounds have healed,
I was gonna say,
completely healed, and you know, that's the best thing you can do for me is keep getting better every day and working on your relationships for healing the other people in my family. They may not have the guidance that I've had with my partner Galactica to help me swim through my traumas and get to the surface.
okay, so the hardest part of was
So you feel like you've already moved beyond it all, like there's no more problems?
just the answer was
Julie, shut up! So you're still good with that, so we're cool with all that, and
compassion.
Well, I realize that I can't change anyone externally. I can only change myself and be a high example to you. So I'm not gonna get upset over someone else behaving a certain way because they're not me. So the best I can do is just
And really
shine my brightest and
So if you had a magic wand, how would you like your mom to change?
Dad.
Or your dad to change to help to just have a better relationship and
probably healthier living, healthier relationship with my mom and sisters, and less not holding anger in, and not holding any kind of feelings of inadequacy or unabundance, the opposite of abundance, like
Okay.
scarcity, yeah, lack.
Okay, go
What
ahead.
do you need from me as your parent to heal all of these hurts?
So what you like from me now as your dad, you would like for me to behave in these different ways, and you describe whatever he said. Yeah.
So you would like me, Joey, you would like for me to just keep growing and start making some positive changes. Like maybe changing the way I eat my food or something. You want me to stop drinking my iced tea all the time or something? You telling me you don't want to buy that chicken meat that's on sale and put it in the freezer and keep it there for 2.5 years? Is that what you're saying?
Well, just, you know, get more exercise
Okay,
and
so what you would like.
eat more veggies, and
Is,
you know, the meat and chicken is fine, do what you're gonna do, but you know, just the way you cook it, you know, maybe not fried, but, you know,
Well, we use the air fryer. The air fryer's fine.
That's
There's
good.
no problem with that.
so that's good.
And so you want him to treat the family a little bit differently?
Yeah, just more, listen to people more, and think before you speak to them, and
Okay.
keep politics out of everything.
Okay.
You know, because it brings up a lot of things. So just
Okay.
and check your emotions when you're discussing certain things that you're really excited about.
Okay.
You know, because some people may take that excitement and feel the opposite of you, and they get excited, and both are too excited for each other and
All right.
yelling at each other.
So thank him for that, and now ask him, what can I do now as your partner, your romantic partner? What can I do to make things better for you in terms of all those things that happened with your dad? What behaviors can I do that would make things more comfortable for you? So you're going to ask him that.
Thank you for sharing just such straight things. Is there any way that I can help you?
But I couldn't imagine
Move
seeing
beyond that and support our lives together further to make you
like on a
feel
spiritual, you know what I mean?
better.
That's what I was, I don't know if he's still here, but that's what I was feeling.
Patience
Yeah.
for when if I do talk to my dad and I'm helping him work
And
through
it
some
doesn't
trauma,
sound like it's so expensive,
just
right,
understand
to
that
provide
sometimes,
Just to
I do my
acknowledge
best to
that,
not
right?
bring that
Like, what a
outside of
huge
the
gift,
Capone
right?
conversation.
It doesn't cost anything, but
But
it's
I look forward to talking to
it
him
would
as
be
much as
such a-
possible because there's people only on this earth for a limited time. I'm privileged to have my dad still here with me.
And so what's the specific behavior you were asking for?
More patience.
More patience when you're on the phone.
More patience just in general. If I do show a characteristic of my father, because we're one of the same, we're very similar, to just help me be like, oh, like you can even say your father's coming through you right now.
That might have
To
created.
just be like, so it can take me out of the element. Like, oh, you're so right. I'm like, I'm not my dad, so I gotta like,
As you share, you
you know,
begin to identify
stop imitating.
So that's a specific thing, so go ahead and see if you understand that, and if he agrees with you.
For me to be patient with you when you speak to your dad on the phone,
and dad
and
that
when he
relate to your pressing
starts channeling through you
But this is the
to say hi to him
Yeah,
as we
when he's there with us.
to receive. Oh, no, we did not do
because that will help me. Because I'm not looking to imitate him, but as a human, I tend to imitate my parents, just like everyone pretty much has programming from their childhood that they
Very nice,
released.
What can I do to give you?
very nice.
Okay,
Yes.
that's the question.
Well, that's very nice. It feels good. Doesn't it feel good?
Yeah.
Very nice. Excellent. You did well. All right. How they doing?
You're listening. You're good. Listen and don't talk and don't interrupt me. Allow me to have the floor completely so that I can fully express myself. That's what I need from you. Is that good?
I just want
So which part are you up to
this
now?
brings the dialogue into the present where your marriage was.
Yes.
Okay, so what I hear you saying is as your father, you'd like to have the floor where you are heard and listened to without interruption. And just to acknowledge and honor your voice without interruption.
Yeah, no interruptions, no side jokes, no, comments, without making me feel like what I'm saying is not important. So that's why I need you to be quiet and just listen to me until I fully share what I'm sharing.
Okay, so as your father, what you'd like is to be just fully listened to and heard without any interruptions or side comments or jokes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so now, if you go into the last part,
Okay.
as if you are her romantic partner in the future,
Okay, I'm your romantic partner
what
now.
does she
Reading to
what does she want from you?
Oh, okay.
Ask her that.
So, okay, I am now your romantic partner in the future.
Yeah.
What do you want from me?
I want you to communicate with me effectively by allowing me to speak and share completely, and then I allow you to give me input that's honest and loving and supportive.
Okay, so as your future partner, you would like great communication where we listen to each other and I hear you and I create a safe space for you to communicate and for me to communicate so we can build something together that is safe and loving. And I wanted to add the word kind. I felt like you wanted to say that.
Yeah, supportive.
Yeah.
That's why I add the support there.
It's a great request, and we're going to talk more about that too. That's very nice. That's very nice. So I'm going to,
She just asked.
oh, what's that?
We went through all the exercises, and I did not ask her that.
Oh, okay, ask her that question.
Is that the last part?
Yeah.
The rest of the paragraph.
Ask her that.
The love letter?
Yeah. So that they can use the other side of the paper
Okay.
and write it down.
Here's what I want to say at the end of the course. That,
My excitement level will go up, or like my, and then, so just don't, like, be patient and don't take it personally. Don't be like turn, because then it'll just snowball more. Be just like, oh, okay, and then, it'll be like, oh, it'll be like easier, more resilient type of.
the woman who came to the back of the room wanted to speak to you. I told her to come back at 7:30.
Keep the stress.
Be safe to be yourself. Balance yourself.
So you need for me to manage my wellness, take care of my
Yeah, feel free to,
issues
I don't call it intro.
before
If you like,
approaching you when I
if I'm
come
not doing something, you like
so
excited.
that I'm in a
Like tell me. Like,
better position
I'm not like,
to
I'm not doing brain surgery.
interact with you and support you, which provides
Yeah,
safety
that's like
for
just
you.
It's like mixing
And
together,
are
trying
able to have a
or
balanced
something.
Mhm.
But
relationship,
it's just,
because I take responsibility.
yeah, but even that,
My step
something really exciting
first
is happening.
before I come
Like,
to you
yo, check this out.
and,
Like,
and
there's something
meet the
cool.
mess.
Like,
Yeah, manage your welfare. Yeah.
it's more like that.
Okay.
If
And
I'm
I think accountability.
frustrated,
Yeah. Be accountable for your
coding, it's not like trying to it's
You
not
need for me
or like fixing
to
my computer,
maintain my
to get it
wellness,
up
handle
and
it at all
do something,
times,
so, like
and
something
be
like that.
accountable
Then it's like,
for
if
my
you approach me,
And you want to make it where it's like a movie where you can tell when it's happening.
like almost
Like, I think it's almost like a commitment to it, like, like when you sign a
But if you
contract,
were a
like,
movie,
I-
how would you know it's happening?
Like
If
the
it's,
actions that you would be taking.
well, so it's an interesting question. So now I'd like to see how it went for everybody, this sharing process. And I want to reiterate, I was talking with some of the participants. When you make a request of your romantic partner, imaginary or real, the more it is like a movie where someone can say, oh, that's happening now. So rather than to say, I would like for you to talk nicely to me and not be irritable or whatever, you want to say, I'd like to be able to sit down every day when you come home. You can have 30 minutes to relax and do this and then I want to have an appointment with you where we just sit and share. I talk and you listen, you talk and I listen. And you have a thing where they can say, oh, that's happening now. I can see it in the movie, right? If it was a video. So you want to make it practical so that the guy or the lady knows that, I'm doing what you asked. Do you like it? So when Dr. Barbara asked me for a hug every evening or every morning or whatever, you can tell it's happening. She wants my personal attention, but you make it practical. So I encourage you, you may have to think about it, and write it down and think, what's going to be practical? How do I know it's happening? Now, each of you are going to get a copy of this book. Barbara, why don't you give out a copy of the book to everybody? And
Do we want to ask how the exercise went?
I will.
To Barbara, love Barbara.
So,
Nobody can sign it unless you want me to sign it. I didn't-
yeah, well, we'll sign at the end. So I want you to go to the end of the first chapter on the mind, which is on page number, Prescriptions for the Mind, page number 69. So this is Prescriptions for the Mind, okay? We're creating ageless love in this book. And so the first part is what we're doing here today, right now. Creating allowing you to live as a wave in your romantic partnership as opposed to a particle. So you know what happens to electrons? When you shoot electrons across the room and they go through two slits in a cardboard and it comes out the other side, it's a wave. And you see the interference pattern of the wave. But if anybody is looking at the electrons before they go into those two slits, or if it's a movie camera looking at them, you know what happens to the electron? They turn into particles, and they bounce off of that thing, and then they go at little particles. They lose their wave nature. It shocked the scientists. They say, how can that be? Electrons turn into particles when someone looks at them? That's bizarre. That means consciousness is like really affected on matter. Matter is not independent of consciousness. They interact. Of course, that means that your body interacts when you get upset, but not just with chemicals, but it actually affects the electrons. It affects your body. So when you become a particle in your relationship, you get irritated, you get upset. You are localized particles. When you're feeling peaceful and calm, and your partner says something, it just goes right through you like you're a wave. You as a wave, you can be anywhere, go anywhere. You're not localizable. You can just flow with everything. You're a particle. You're stuck in a certain place, and it's not comfortable because you're really limited. So we're teaching you how to be a wave in this thing. So one thing is to understand life stages, right? So we talked about life stages. You have the whole picture of the spiral. And don't resist wherever you are, whatever your partner is, whatever your children, your parents, they're going through their own stuff. Don't blame them for going through it, right? So that's prescription 1. Prescription 2, the next page. Make an appointment for conversations. That's a prescription. So you have your romantic partner. You make a prescription. Say, I'd love to talk to you. Make an appointment, a prescription. An appointment, thank you. Make an appointment for a conversation. So sometimes you want to just have it once a week. You go on a date. And what are the rules about going on a date? You don't talk about anything practical. You only talk about the deep emotional things that are going on in your life, whatever they are, good, bad, troublesome, other family members in between you two. But you want to have an appointment to talk about things. And if there's some upset going on in the relationship, you say, what's a good time for us to talk? Don't start screaming at them when they do something you don't like. Not good. Then you're going to fall down into this screaming and you both become particles. It's not fun. Make an appointment. Say, hey, I really would like to talk to you. What's a good time? I have some emotional things I like to share. And what's a good time? Well, I'm real busy now. I can't do it right now. But okay, when you want to do it? Well, I can do it, and you make up a time. Okay, we'll do it then. Prescription number 3, listening without interrupting. Now, in our marriage class, we teach a marriage class where you come with your partner and you learn skills. And one of the skills you're learning is listening without interrupting. So that's a skill set. How do you listen without interrupting? It takes time to learn that skill. Dr. Barber is so good at listening. She listens to people and really gets who and what's going on, and then she can talk and make suggestions or whatever. But here, when we listening without interrupting, no suggestions allowed. You just listen to each other. You listen, and then you see, wow, they see the world so differently than I do. That's amazing. And you're just listening. Very, very profound. We teach that skill, and it's very, very profound in being something that is necessary in romantic relationships. It would really make me happy if is a phrase you want to use in your relationship. It would really make me happy if, and then you say something. And whatever it is, if they say, well, I can't do it now, or I'm too busy, or maybe I'll get to it later, that's fine, because they're just saying, it really make me happy. And I want you to practice that. That's a skill you want to practice. It would really make me happy if, when I come home and ask for a kiss, you say, oh, I'd love to give you a kiss. Oh, yeah, sure. I'm on the phone, but I'm going to have them hold on for a minute. Anyway, you can negotiate it, and you talk to each other about it, and then you make requests of each other. Yes?
So, yeah, you're offering, so Michael's offering formulas for how you can be, he's using physics as a metaphor. We have a wave nature, we have a particle nature. When we're in our particle nature, we're kind of grumpy, cranky, complaining, irritable. When we're in our wave nature, we're smooth and flowing. And he wants you to be conscious of the options you have, and as much as you can, come from your wave nature. And if you want something because it's missing, instead of complaining, which comes natural to most of us, we come from our wave nature. It would really make you become aware of what will make you happy in the situation, and you make a request. And that's acting out of a wave nature. And being a wave is a lot more pleasant than being a particle.
It sounds like this could be helpful for any kind of relationship.
It is. But it's hardest in romantic partnership to accomplish that. Sometimes child parent is very hard too.
Yeah, I was thinking just that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but it's very important. As a parent, the more that you can, we teach parenting courses. And one of the main things we teach is you're never allowed to get in an argument with your child. It's against the rules. You can only say, oh, nevertheless, this is the rules. And that's it. And you never get an argument. They can always leave. They can move out. You can send them into some kind of a...
If they're old enough.
What?
If they're old enough.
If they're old enough, they can always leave and live with their uncle, their aunt, or somebody. But this is the house rules. I had my kids when they were teenagers said, the car has a bedtime. And so, anyway, you make up the rules. But in a romantic partnership, you have to have agreement about the various rules. And we encourage you. We have lots of practical things we teach people in our relationship class, which is 4 Sundays, 2 hours, either in person or online. And we have so many different skills that we teach that are so important.
So what we're teaching, we have one more exercise I think we're going to do. So we're teaching you exercises that have to do with self-reflection, so you know what you want, know what you need, and know what you don't want, so you can be calm and rational about it. It's important to know what triggers us. What we teach in our course that we're not including here because there's not enough time. It's also important that you're self-regulated. That's not a small accomplishment. It's just so easy to be dramatic. It just is. And especially in our present culture, everybody's kind of crazy. That's crazy about me. So we have specific skills to teach you how to be calm and centered and loving, no matter what's going on. It's such a key. If you can do that, people around you will be calmer, your children will be calmer, your partner will be able to hear you, and you'll win together much more fluidly. It's a blessing for everyone.
Well, excellent. Any questions about that exercise? And so you can pick another parent, you can pick another person who's a big event person? Okay. So that's something that you can use this exercise intermittently. You may have some insights about why you're upset in the present, and you realize it's come from a past hurt. You want to share that with your partner when you get that insight. So you want to share with your partner. You can do the same process over again. Say, hey, I just got this thing. Barbara just told me the other day she had this insight about her mom. What was your insight? I forget. You just told me about that you didn't get attention from her. Was that
I just did that.
Yeah,
I was just thinking about that.
Yeah. So it's so interesting that you want to not personalize your partner's upsets. They're not upset because of the present. It's always the past. So you want to understand why they're upset. Gee, you're real upset about this. So one of the things that we teach our couples is how to deal with anger. And if you catch it early, you can say, oh, that hurt. Why did you say that? And then you say, well, I said that because, well, I'm upset about this and this. Oh, okay, well, what can I do that's better? Well, if you do this, this, and this, I would feel better. So if I'm driving the car and Barbara doesn't like I'm going too fast, and she starts telling me this, well, her upset comes because she lost her dad when she was 2, never came back into her life. And that was really hard for her, but she's 2. So when she's driving the car with me, she's afraid she's going to lose everything, so she wants me to go slower. So I don't have to personalize that she's criticizing me, right? So I understand where she's coming from. So, oh, okay, she's upset about that. So I say, okay, I'll drive slower. But if she just says, I don't like you drive, I want to drive fast because we're running late. No, I don't. Then you get into an argument, right? So we want to avoid arguments. Very important to avoid arguments. And so this sharing exercise works real well. And when people come into our marriage classes, we really go into all these things in detail, and you practice it. It's like roller skating, ice skating, dancing, whatever you're doing. You have to do it over and over, and it has to become natural. So we love doing that for our students, to make things really natural. And it's really a fun kind of a thing. So the next arena we're going to look at is complaints. You were mentioning that you're in this process of giving up all your complaints about other people because it doesn't help to have complaints about them. So that's a big undertaking, to give up complaints. Anyone else have some complaints, or have you given up all complaints about anything and anyone who's ever done anything to you? Right. Working on acceptance is a big arena. And I want to spend a little time focusing on that, because all those complaints that we hold on to, that we haven't given up, blocks us from having a fulfilling romantic partnership. Because our hearts are closed in certain ways. And then you do something that seems just like that person who I don't like because the way they treated me, and then it triggers me. Don't treat me like that. And whereas otherwise, if something happens and it doesn't trigger anything, it's just like, whoa, they must be really upset. You know, why would they behave like that? And it doesn't bother you. In a romantic partnership, when the behavior of your partner bothers you, big problem. Big problem. So giving up complaints is a very big project to do. So when Barbara and I were having our relationship issues in our 30s, and we were almost ready to divorce, I was working with a psychic and seeing if they could help in any way. And it was hopeful this way, that way. But then ultimately the psychic said, well, you're going to divorce, but it'll be good. It'll be for the good. And I got real angry. I wasn't going here to have him tell me that, yes, I would divorce. No, I wanted the relationship to work. I had 2 children, 6 and 8 years old. I didn't want this divorce thing. And I just blew him off. Said, I don't care who you are or what you are. I'm going to make this thing work. And I just was gone. Didn't work with him anymore. And I then did whatever Barbara wanted me to do to make the relationship work. Said, okay, tell me what you want to do. I want to make this relationship work. Well, I don't know if it's going to work, but let's go and do this and that and that. And we tried all kinds of counseling things I mentioned. The mentoring things that we did was a little bit bizarre in my mind. At least the counseling thing made sense. But the relationship stuff, the programs she sent me to were programs like spiritual growth programs that get you in touch with your feelings. Why would I want to do that? I'm trying to kind of calm them down, So went to this program where they have you look at your complaints in life. And they sit and talk to a room full of 100 people, and they have you look at your complaints about life and recognize that you have to give them all up. Really? Really? I was arguing so much about, I don't think that doesn't make sense to me. And so 100 people in the room, I hogged the time. I was the most talkative person there saying, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to give up everything. When you have complaints in your life, you get payoffs for those complaints. Right? It's like, what kind of payoffs? Well, you get to be right, and these other people get to be wrong. That's a big payoff. I like being right. Well, I'm right most of the time, aren't I? I like being right. Then you have an excuse for your poor performance in life. Because the reason why you have a poor performance is all these people have done wrong things to you. They shouldn't be behaving that way and done that to you. So then, if you're really angry enough, maybe they'll change. You withdraw from them, maybe they'll change and they'll start being nicer. Maybe. And it's also a little scary to let go of all your programming that you've been that way for so long. And then maybe other people feel sorry for you. All your friends say, oh, I'm so sorry. Look how bad you're being treated by this person, that person. Oh, yeah, let's commiserate together. So there's a lot of payoffs about complaining and having complaints, right? And for me, this arena of giving up your complaints was, for me, my mom. I had a lot of people I could complain about, but my mom, everyone here will agree I have a right to complain about it. So I talked about the sink, leaving the one glass. A 6-year-old kid, what leave him alone. He tried so hard. So here I am trying to please my mom. Very difficult. Nothing would really please her more than a moment, and then she says, you could have done better. So here I am graduating from high school, 1,000 kids in the graduating class, special awards to 25 kids. They get 1 award for doing something great, right? 2 or 3 kids get a second award. I got 7.
7 awards?
Yeah, the valedictorian got 7 awards. and I got 7 awards. The valedictorian committed suicide a few years later, right? Because to get 7 awards means that you're really out of space. I got 7 awards.
And you're still alive.
And I'm still alive. And then after the graduation was over, I went out. I was just so filled with joy, and look what I accomplished. And I said, and there I am, my mom, I'm walking outside, and I'm smiling at my mom, and she looks at me and says, I expected that of you. And that was it. Oh, it was like punching a little pin in the balloon and let out all that.
It's the worst.
So you all agree with me. I have a right to complain about my mom, right?
Or if you just shift the filter, that's beautiful that she expects greatness from you.
Well, yeah, but, there's a lot of things you can do. So what?
Keeps the bar so high that you rise to it.
There's a lot to be said for having a mom, when you're a guy, who expects a lot of you, because then you accomplish all kinds of great things, hoping that you can please your mom someday. And many of the great men who are very, very successful have moms who are very demanding. Okay, so I mean, it's not bad. Anyway, that's what happens. But for me, I had a hard time giving up that complaint, and the guys running the class and having 100 people in there, he ultimately took 3 days of being in the class, convinced me that it's hurting me not to forgive my mom. My mom doesn't have to deserve forgiveness, as you're describing, right? You want to forgive everybody. It's something that you're trying to do. You can't be spiritually enlightened unless you forgive everybody for everything that ever happened in your life. That's just the way it is. It doesn't mean you have to let them in your house to steal all your stuff. You can still lock your door, but you can forgive everybody. Not a problem. You can do that. So he convinced me that I had to do that. I had to forgive everybody. So what happened after that class was over? I started calling my mom once a week and saying, how are you, Mom? How are you doing? What's happening? And she loved it. Of course, the first few times she would say, oh, what happened to your fingers? I said, what do you mean? I said, something wrong? Did you hurt your fingers? I said, no. Oh, I thought you didn't call me. There was maybe something wrong with your fingers. That was my mom, right? So it took some months ongoing for me to call her every week, and then she began changing with me, not so much with my brothers. My older brother was like I was with my mom, and he didn't get along with her very well. But he never switched over like I did. Little by little, my mom started really appreciating me calling her, and we developed a different relationship. And the peculiar thing that happened is that it allowed me to be kinder to Barbara. I wasn't like trying to be kind to Barbara, but it just sort of, opens your heart when you begin to feel more forgiveness for all those people, particularly your mom and a romantic partner. When you forgive your mom, then it makes you feel like you can feel feelings more. So for me, it was a big breakthrough. And 7 years later, Barbara and I are doing a lot better. And then she asked me, oh, I think we should go on this course again. And I said, what? I don't need to go on the course again. I already did that. I already agreed. I have nothing to. Forgiveness, yeah. Everyone should forgive everybody for everything. I agree. Why would I do the course again? Well, I just think we should do it. Well, I was committed to doing what she said. She's the counselor. She's going to all these classes, and I said, okay, I'll do it. Our relationship was working. So it didn't make any sense to me, but I did it. So here I am in the class again, and 100 people there. And I have nothing to say. The other time I argued more than anybody. I had nothing to say. There are breaks. You're there for 3 days, 8 hours a day, whatever. And I go into the bathroom and I cry. And the break is 15 minutes. I cry for 15 minutes. And then I come out and I sit there for another few hours and then have another break. I go in the bathroom and I cry. That's bizarre. all these tears, I wouldn't stop. Only in the bathroom. I come back and I just sit there and listen. So healing has different layers to it. So you heal your intellect first, and you agree and you do the behavior, and then there's a deeper level of healing where your heart opens. And it's not the intellect that's opening, it's your heart that's opening. And so for me, that was like a huge spiritual awakening. It's kind of like weird. It's just like, I had no idea that people would do that. Go around and cry. Like I can have tears now just thinking of my mom and how I feel about her. So for men, it's a little different than women, because women cry easily, men not so much. But that's what happens to guys, and that's what guys have to learn, to come from their heart. It's a big thing. Women, as Dr. Barber says, have to learn to not dramatize their emotions so much, because they can cry anytime. But can you focus your intellect so that you're not run by your emotions? You can run by your heart, that's fine, but I mean by your love and your compassion. But can you have your intellect there and control when it's something other than love? You know, if it's a little irritation, a little anger, a little annoyance, you want to know if you can do that. So that's something that's very important in giving up complaints. So we're going to do a little process of giving up complaints. And so the process that we're going to do is a little writing kind of a thing. It's not sort of like what we're doing here, but this will be personal writing. And you're going to write a letter to someone that you have a complaint with. Doesn't matter who it is. You can write a letter. And there's a certain process, and we have the sheets here of what you're going to do when you write this letter. And you go through the different layers of emotions when you're writing this letter. You want to talk about the layers of emotions?
Letter's formatted.
Hey, talk about here.
The letter is formatted. Once you decide who you're writing to, you're going to complete sentences. And it will take you through the feelings. It'll start with anger. Anger is not a primary feeling, by the way. You'll start with anger, and you'll go to hurt and sadness, and way underneath anger is fear. But you want to go through the feelings from the surface, the loud version of it, to the more subtle version of it. And it will take you through the feelings to, ideally, to forgiveness. And the more you can forgive, the more you can relax and open your heart to love. And it's a good thing for everyone. And
the first layer of emotions is anger, the outer layer. So anger is not a helpful emotion in a romantic relationship, but it's the outer layer. And under anger always is the emotions of sadness and hurt. So in your relationship, you want to get below the anger in this letter writing, but you start with the anger. And then after you answer the questions and complete the sentences, you're going to get into the hurt and sadness. And that's going to happen naturally. But we don't know exactly how long it will take, but you'll see it'll flow into it, and you may go back and forth a little bit. And then under the emotion of hurt and sadness is always fear, insecurity. It's always there. That's why you're hurt, because you might lose something. So then you write about what that is. And there's all these little sentences you complete. And then underneath the fear and security is going to be guilt and regret and responsibility. And you're going to write about that. And then underneath that is intention and wishes, things that you wish for. And then you may get to love and acceptance. But just so you know, you don't give this letter out to anybody. It's not for mailing to anyone. It's just for you. Okay, so it's very important. So I'm going to inspire you with a couple of stories. So the importance of forgiveness and giving up your complaints. This is a Buddhist story. Okay, a very traditional story that is from the Buddha. It talks about the lost son. Anyone know that story? The lost son. A widower, a man, lost his wife, she died, and he was raising his 5-year-old son. And he went off to work, and some robbers and people came by the village and killed everybody and burnt the village down and stole everything. And he comes home and he sees these burnt bodies there. And one of the bodies looks like his son's body. And he's devastated. And he cremates the body, carries the ashes around on his back, and he's devastated. He rebuilds his house, and he's just crying there for months and months, totally devastated. And his son wasn't actually killed. They actually kidnapped him. And he finally got free some months later and came back and knocked on the door and said, "Daddy, Daddy, let me in." And the father's all confused. What is this? Are you making fun of me? Who is coming in and telling, what? Go away. I don't want you here. And he says, "Daddy, Daddy, it's me. Let me in. I don't want you here. Go away, go away." And so that went on, and the son left and never came back. And that's the story from the Buddha. So that's what we all do in our lives. We carry around the pain on our back that we have interpreted and created in our own minds that this is our life, and we are suffering with this pain. And when the antidote for that comes in, that possibility of, we're closed off to it because we're in so much pain. So that's why we give up our complaints and our interpretations that created the complaints. So that's motivation. So the next motivational story is called the Pearl Necklace. So this is a story about a young girl who's like 5 years old, and she goes with her mother into some stores and sees this plastic necklace that's just beautiful, white plastic. And she says, Mommy, I love that necklace. Can you buy me that necklace? Well, it'll take a whole month's of your salary, of your allowance. Oh, I don't mind, Mommy. I want that necklace. Okay, she gives her the necklace. 1 month of salary is not hers to have for anything, but she has the necklace. She had the necklace for 1 year. And her father, who would read to her every night stories, said to her, "Oh, sweetheart, I really love your necklace. Would you give it to Daddy?" "Oh, Daddy, no, not my necklace here. Take my teddy bear. I love my teddy bear. Take my teddy bear." Okay. Next night, the daddy says, "Oh, sweetheart, I really love that necklace. Would you mind giving it to me?" "Oh, no, take my giraffe. I love my giraffe. Not my necklace." And this goes on every night. Finally, the little girl says, "Okay, you could have my necklace." He takes the necklace, and then he gives her a pearl necklace, a real pearl necklace. And so that's a story, a parable. That's what God does for us. He takes things away, but what he gives us is much, much bigger. And the complaints, you have to take your complaints that you're holding on to so much. Oh, I don't want to lose my necklace. Oh, I don't want to lose my... But if you let go, you get something much, much bigger, so much bigger. So that's your inspiration to do the next program here, which is to write a love letter to somebody. So everybody should take, you have a copy of the love letter or not yet?
Not yet.
So give everybody a copy of the love letter. And then I want you to have plenty of room to write on. So you can use the other side of these papers. Why don't you take a couple of sheets there? And lean on the book. You have one copy of the book or two? You have 2 copies of the book. Good.
Here's love letter.
So
And that's your writing paper.
write on the love letter book, and just you should have lots of things. If you need more paper, I'll give you more paper. You want to lean on the back of the book so you can write.
Yeah. I don't want to.
No, it's hardcover. You can
It's
lean.
hard, it's not going to.
No, you can lean on it. All right, so you're going to follow the instructions on the love letter. Okay, so you're going to write a letter to whoever you want, and I don't want you to skip over any of the emotions. Start with the anger and blame, and then go through all the lists and write down a bunch of stuff under each of those things. And let me know if you have any questions. I have plenty of pens if you need some pens to write with. You all have pens? Everybody has good pens? Okay. We'll ask them. So there's a little bit of time left, but go on to the next things, see where you're at. Make sure you get up to, at least up to the guilt and regret. That's fine.
Okay.
And then, finished?
I finished this part,
Oh, you got to go more.
and then I just discovered that.
Yeah. Go ahead and do some more. How about you? Same thing? You finished? You went through both sides. Okay, super. Yeah, go down, so do some more.
Okay.
Where is the national competition this year?
Pittsburgh. All right. So I'll let you finish up on those things. So you can complete this at home. And let me pick up the mic. So this is a process where you may have other people besides the one you're working on that you can write this up. And it's a process. And first it's very psychological, intellectual, and then it can get very emotional. So the process of falling in love forever involves many different facets. So we explored in depth some of these psychological, spiritual processes. But there are other things for us to explore at some point. So meditation is something that I think is very important for spiritual growth. It's very valuable in relationships because if you're irritable and cranky, it's very difficult on the relationship. So for falling in love forever, you need to feel good. And that involves many different things. Stress in this society is so intense, everybody needs a meditation process. I teach meditation classes twice a week online. I find that it works better online. You don't have to rush to get there and rush to leave. Just at your convenience. So I do it Thursday night, 7:30, Sunday afternoon at 12:30. And you go to the drmichaelmeditation.com. It's a website. It's a free meditation. So it takes about an hour. We talk a little bit in the beginning, we meditate for 20 minutes, and then we go and see how your experiences are. Everybody finds it absolutely intensely fulfilling to meditate with me in the process that I do. I teach very, very, very deep meditation. There are many different types of meditation, and they all have a value. I teach you how to experience the unbounded pure awareness, and you just get transcended. You feel so far away from your body, from your emotions, from your intellect, from your personality. You just go off. And it's so important to be connected to your godly self. And then you come back down and you feel much more easy about things. Very important. The other thing that's very important is take care of your bodies. There's so many things we talked about in the beginning you got to do to take care of your body. And if you're over 50-ish, you want to look at your hormones. You want to look at your growth hormone. You want to look at progesterone, testosterone, estrogen, etc. We have so many things that we need to look at to be healthy. Stem cells, exosomes to repair body parts in case you have something that's really not working. You want to avoid surgery. I love doing that. My wife and I, Dr. Barbara, come stand there too. Okay. We do classes on marriage. And you're going to get here some things about our classes. They're related to what we've done here, but when you do it with a partner, it's very intense. And we love doing that. We have a lot of fun doing classes. We also have a dance show that we do, and we love doing the dance show in all kinds of situations, as long as we have a dance floor, not carpet. We love doing a dance show where we show you the inevitable phases of love, that spiral that happens, and how Barbara and I went through it. And then we give you a dance lesson if you're in person, where you learn to, oh, this is how, dance is like relationship. Wow. And you love the dance lesson, but it really works on you to cooperate with whatever romantic partnership requires, which is lead and follow and enjoying that playfulness, because you want playfulness to be there in your romantic partnership. You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to invite you all to a dance lesson if you'd like to come to Orange County. What's the date, March 3rd?
February 25.
February 25th, from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock. We bring our dance coach with us. He's from Slovakia. He takes no prisoners. He gives a great lesson. Not only do you learn dance steps, he usually teaches a Latin dance for our guests. But you learn through your body what the role of a man and a woman is through dance. It's phenomenal. And as long as Michael's talking about his longevity practice, he is a brilliant doctor. And his first love is probably meditation. And one of his inspirations for being the doctor he is we're old TM teachers from the 60s. We studied with Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, and Maharishi sent Michael home to be a great doctor, because he knew that he knew. I think he wouldn't have said it this way, but there are government doctors and there are independent thinkers, and he just does things that. So to support that assertion, I want you to know I'm 73 years old. 2 years ago, I came in first in nationals in ballroom dancing, and I have a plan to go to Pittsburgh in a couple of weeks to do the same thing. And so there's a way of being, energetic, inspired, full of enthusiasm in life at any age, and you won't find that for just an ordinary doctor.
So on the board here, you have ways to connect with us. The website, OC Wellness, and the website, Falling in Love Forever. One is my medical, and one is Dr. Barbara's relationship stuff. And info@fallinginloveforever.com is an email. You can send that. So those are all opportunities to get to continue to do some things together. So this has been just a delight. I'm glad you all can be here to share this with us. And if you know people who would like a dance show in their business, their church, their organization of some kind, we'd love, it's fun for us to do that. And if you know people who would love to have a marriage class in whatever circumstances they're in, we're happy to talk to them about that. We love doing that. Anyway, thank you all. We'll stay here and answer your questions, and you all have a lovely rest of your time here. Okay, bye now. Oh, how nice.
So we should, if we wanted to go to that dance thing, we would call, text that number and just say, hey, what's the address kind of thing?
Yeah.
My card, you can call me.
Yeah.
Write my phone number down.
Sure, yeah.
If you can make it to Orange County, it is a fun. Where do you live?
Long Beach.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What part of Orange County? Our office is in Newport. The actual lesson will be in Aliso Viejo.
It's Laguna Hills. Isn't it Laguna Hills, Barbara? Yeah. So where's the...
And we have the best dance coach. Do you know there are tango?
Yeah, here's the meditation stuff.
in California.
And did Barbara let you have the actual address? I'll tell you the address in a minute.
I have a question. Oh, thank you.
Oh, 949-230.
February 25th.
So it's a sway ballroom.
Bring your own partner.
No, you don't bring your own partner.
Wait a minute.
You don't have to bring your own partner. You could.
I would encourage you to, because otherwise you might be dancing with Michael or Daniel.
It's not the worst thing in the world, you know.
But I wish I could make it. I'm going to be out of
So let me show you sway ballroom.
It's really fun.
Maybe I'll get you.
Okay, keep in touch with me.
Yes, I will.
Yes.
And what kind of shoes should we wear?
You want to wear shoes that are not like that. You want to wear.
These are my dancing shoes.
You want to wear shoes with leather
I have leather soles.
because you're going to be moving and you don't want to hurt your knees.
Dr. Grossman.
Yeah. If these are leather, it's possible. I don't know. I don't know if you can do that. That's so funny. So sway,
Maybe more of a representation
sway ballroom.
version of our parents.
Yes.
I have the number in here.
Do you have recommendations for us?
Make it alert.
Sway ballroom, Laguna Hills.
Because I keep thinking I'm doing all this work, and then all of a sudden
So here's the address: 25360.
Let's see, 20.
2560 La Paz Road.
La P-A-Z.
well, I thought
Yeah.
like the last relationship I had, really, I thought was like the most amazing relationship, but then I found out that it wasn't honest. It was like a concocted version of what he thought I wanted to hear. So when it was good, it was phenomenal, but it wasn't honest, which led me back to where I was.
Yeah. And it's in Laguna Hills.
20 years ago in the first place.
And you want the zip code is 92653.
If you're more sensitive and you know what you want and what you know what you don't want, and you share.
Be a little different kind of dancing than what you think I saw.